when my siblings and I used to go grave fishing.
Yeah, I recently wondered. I was like, how did they know where to put the graves?
We just looked for the open spaces and we're like, well, there's a space there.
Yeah, you just find a random spot and pray that it was the right one?
Well, at the time, we didn't have any concept of this couldn't possibly be the wrong one.
oh. Sorry, whoever your grave was.
We thought we were doing something good. Okay, I should explain.
I mean, you are. I mean, it's still better than them being lost in the creek.
I should explain. I used to live in Washington. And, Washington, lots of rain. Okay. I'll wait for Bree to come back.
Keep going.
Okay. Yeah, so the thing about Washington is you've got lots of rain. And I guess I don't know about other parts, but the areas that I lived in and were around, there was always, like, lakes and ocean and, Puget Sound, which is kind of like a sea, and creeks and stuff like that. And so the rainstorms would come and wash gravestones out of the ground and then down into a creek that was running through the cemetery.
Just give all the videos like this.
Gosh, stop. But yeah, so basically what would happen is my mom used to take us there like once a week, or maybe it was once every 2 weeks. And the original intention was always, to take us around to pray at all the graves. Well, eventually some of us kids would get kind of bored, and she would go around praying at some of the graves, and we would go down into the creek. And we kept finding all the gravestones out there. So then it just became a thing. Like, every time we went, we would go into the creek looking for gravestones. And we would pull them out and try to find where they went.
Interestingly enough, when I was a kid, not quite the same, but I have interesting stories about graveyards too. I lived kitty corner from one growing up, and we used to actually have picnics in the graveyard.
Yeah, I heard a lot of people do that.
We didn't go pray or anything, and all my friends are super freaked out about this, but to me it was like super normal. There was a really old-fashioned well that you had to like hand crank and pump. And we just go sit down. There's a really nice big tree, and my mom was super terrified when they first built the house and they moved in, and then she quickly realized that they were the quietest neighbors she was ever gonna have. Graveyards make good neighbors if you aren't too scared, apparently.
Well, and here's the thing. I used to not be afraid of graveyards because we would go like every week or something like that. And then I guess at some point there was like a gap or something where we didn't go. Now I'm afraid of graveyards.
Like at all times or just at night?
I'd say at all times when I'm not with somebody, but sometimes, so there's this one graveyard that I used to go to with a friend and her mother to visit her mother's father's grave, and sometimes just like where we were parking, I would just get creeped out. And in general, sometimes I would just my mom would park in a graveyard, get out and go do her thing, and I would just be like,
does your mom just
terrified.
like to stop in random graveyards and pray?
Back in Washington, that's what we used to do. In Minnesota, not as much, and in Minnesota it was more she would stop by to visit the graves of relatives. Because back in Washington, we didn't have any relatives who were buried.
So would you do okay at a funeral with lots of people?
Oh yeah, I'm good at funerals. It's just randomly being in graveyards, and especially
I agree, that
around.
seems weird. Yeah, I don't think I'd want to do that.
Yeah.
Anyway,